Hey folks, Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge here at the Redneck Barbecue Lab, McGee's Crossroad, Benson, North Carolina. Today I'm here in the RBL studios to show you guys how to cook baby back ribs at home, just like I do at mine. First thing I'd like for you to do though is to like this channel. Subscribe to it, click on the bell, please, so you guys are notified of future videos just like the one we're about to show you here today. And please share this with your friends. Let them know what's going on. Help them understand kind of some things they might not understand about barbecue. More importantly, help us kind of draw on a different audience who can provide us with some questions about why we do what we do, or maybe what they'd like to see in terms of barbecue. And finally, please, down below, leave your comments as to what you thought about this video, or leave us some suggestions on what you'd like to see in the future. So without anything else being said, let's hop right into this. This is a baby back rib. You can find these in the supermarket, or you can have your butcher make these for you. Where they come from is these are pork ribs. They come from the part of the animal. If this is the hindquarter, aka the ham of the animal, and this is the forefront, the head of the animal, where the shoulder is. The ribs are right here in the middle. And they are basically, the bottom part is what we call a spare rib. The spare rib is where the St. Louis cut rib comes from. If you're not familiar with a St. Louis style rib, look at our videos right here on this YouTube channel, and you can find one where we have done a video similar to this one on how to prepare spare ribs. Well, just below where that spare rib, St. Louis rib is, and that spare rib is the baby back. The baby back is just behind what's called the country rib, which you can find out what a country rib is too on this YouTube channel. But these baby backs are located directly underneath the loin of the animal. And the tenderloin and the loin of most animals are muscles that don't do a whole lot of work. Therefore, a lot of times they're a lot more tender. They have a lot more just basically flavor in them. And these baby back ribs are one of the ribs that most people prefer when you're going out to eat ribs, or when you hear somebody say, I'm cooking ribs, it's usually a baby back rib. So that's kind of where this comes from. Now, is this my favorite? Not really. I like a baby back style rib, but to me, I grew up eating a country style rib, which is a rib that's just, if this rib's right here, this country style rib is located right here up front. It's a big, thick, meatier part. It's got a lot of collagen in it. They're very hard to cook, but my mother used to cook them in a different way that I'm gonna show you guys here today. And that's the one I prefer. But when it comes down to it, those are probably my favorite. And then the baby back St. Louis rib are the ones we cook in competition all the time. They're the ones we cook at the lab. It's kind of a toss-up to me. So, you guys have to tell me what's your favorite. Just leave some of the info down here. Let me know, hey, what's my favorite rib? Who knows, you know? Some people will tell you they probably like the whole spare rib, the whole St. Louis and the rib tip portion. Something that I really don't like, but maybe you do. So anyway, let's start looking at this. This rib is purchased from the store. It's pretty much already cut. It's got bones on it, so it's pretty much cut with a meat saw by the butcher. It's pretty much ready to go. You could just take this rib and throw it on the grill and go ahead and cook it, and everything's fine. However, I like to do a little bit more prep on here just to kind of trim it up a little bit, to make it a bit more tender, to keep some of the parts on here that you guys might like, but some of the parts I don't like, and show you a couple things as well along the way. So this is how I trim a St. Louis rib. The first thing I do is I want to feel it, and you can see right here we've got some fat on this. And everybody says fat's flavor, but the thing about fat is fat does not like rubs. It won't let the rub stick to it very easy, and it will actually, rub will actually just kind of melt off as the fat melts off of it. And the baby back ribs. So the fat on most cuts of meat that you get it's kind of a misconception. A lot of people think that the fat just kind of goes through this muscle. It doesn't. The fat that's on the outside of this just goes off the muscle, and it takes whatever rub, whatever spices that's on here right off of it, down into the drip pan, the smoker, the fire flame, whatever. So I like to remove some of this, especially the harder fat on it. I'm running my knife parallel. These bones on this kind of curve like this, so I'm trying to just running my knife down it. I don't want to skin the top of the bones. I like to keep a little of meat on these. Some of the other stuff I'll clean up will be some of this stuff that's just kind of hanging off. It's not necessary. The reason I do is this stuff tends to be jerky when it's done. It'll be overcooked. It'll be kind of coarse. It's that stuff you kind of bite into and have to pick out of your teeth. I guess that's kind of a nice way to say it's the stuff that's just overcooked and not very palatable to Jerry. So just trim this up. As you can see in some of this right here, there's some elastin that you may find on these towards the head of the animal, the shoulder of the animal, this rib. I go ahead and clean that up. That's not very palatable. If you can see, that's silver skin. That's not fat. It stretches. It's not digestible very easy and not a very good bite. So just merely trimming some of that stuff up will help you have a better bite. You see a little bit more of that right here. I'm going to kind of knock it off real quick with the knife. We'll feel it a little bit more. This looks pretty good. Now, before I season this baby back rib, I'm going to go on the back side of it as well and remove some more stuff. You can see right here we have some fat that kind of needs to come off. It won't melt off like real easy. Go ahead and trim that up. Then trim the end bone off here just a little bit. The next thing I want to do is I want to take off this silver skin right here. And let me tell you why I take it off. The only reason I take it off is it allows me to put a little bit more seasoning on the backside of my rib. And typically when you bite the backside of your rib, this is the part that hits your tongue when you bite the rib. You can leave this elastin on. You can eat this elastin. It's fine. A lot of people say you have to take it off. You don't. When this rib is cooked and fully cooked, you can grab this and it'll come off. It'll have the texture kind of like paper. It's nothing that's going to affect the way this rib cooks. It doesn't help, doesn't hinder anything. It's just something, if you guys want it or not, that's all it is. So last thing that I want to do is pull this off. I'm going to show you a little pro tip is you can use a paper towel to do this. When I'm doing competitions or I'm doing a lot of ribs like at the lab and stuff like that, what I end up using is I use a towel. And the reason is this towel doesn't break. It has a lot of texture on it. It allows me to grab this stuff. It's kind of hard to grab sometimes. So I use a towel. With that being said, let me throw a caveat into this right now. In no way, shape, or form did Jerry Stevenson or the Redneck Barbecue Lab tell you to go and grab one of your wives or your spouses or your girlfriends or your mother's nice tea towels out of their kitchen, nor go into their bathroom and take one of the white towels, hand towels out of their bathroom. Don't do that. You buy these at the supermarket stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. You can buy them at Sam's. You know, buy them online at Amazon. I buy these by the 30 pack, throw them away, like 50 cents a piece. You can bleach them 3 or 4 times in the washing machine, and then you throw them away. They're pretty much done. So this is what I use. I use a rag. It helps me easier to grab this. And what I did is I took the knife and just kind of made a small little, between the bone and this, a little cut right here on the end of this rib. It allows me to easily pick this just using this rag. Pick, I say easily, pick and pull. And as you get towards the end, it may end up breaking in half, but as you can see, this is something, like I said, it's really, really tough. As you cook this, like I said, it will become like paper and you can eat it, but it's not digestible. It's something that's lasting, like I said, something I just like getting rid of. Last thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna trim up the end of this rib and a little bit of this fat. You know, 8-inch chef knife is probably not the best thing for trimming ribs. It was what I grabbed this morning. You may want a little smaller knife. But there you go, there you have it. That's pretty much ready to go. I think it looks very pretty. Sometimes this part here, this loin that's attached, it can be kind of hard, and sometimes it's up really high, and I'll just kind of either knock it down or trim it out. But here today, I think I'm gonna leave it. My hands tell me this is pretty tender. So I am getting this ready for the smoker. Now, as you're familiar with on these cooking videos, I like cooking in pans with trays. It's an easy cleanup. Excuse me. I line it with aluminum foil, or I use disposable trays a lot just so I can throw them away. I season on this. The seasoning falls to the bottom. Sometimes you get pan juices in here that you can use for stuff. Today with these ribs, we'll get very little juice. But what it does is it keeps my smoker clean, and it's a very easy cleanup once I'm done eating these ribs. So once I line that pan, I put in it's basically a baking rack. You can find these online too to kind of keep these ribs elevated. First thing that I'm going to do is, on my ribs, just like most of my other meat is I'm going to use my Redneck Barbecue Lab all-purpose seasoning. It's what I call my, it's kind of that bass note, you know, doom, 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 doom. In any song, you know, you got that bass that kind of keeps things going. And that's what I use on pretty much everything from popcorn, baked potatoes, and steaks. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a top coat of our Redneck Barbecue Lab chicken and rib rub. This is the one we won world championships with. We've won world first places and various rub competitions and stuff with it. It's got a bit more spice in it, a little bit more sugar, allows for caramelization on chicken and ribs, and works wonders. We've got a lot of perfect scores just using this combination in competition. So I will go ahead, I will start seasoning this. The first layer, like I said, is that all-purpose Redneck Barbecue Lab, the competition seasoning, original. A lot of words. You kind of see I just kind of put it on kind of a light coat. Doesn't need a whole lot to get doing what I need doing with this. Then I'm gonna come back over the top of this, and I'm gonna put that chicken and rib rub just to kind of cover the meat. That's what I'm looking for, a kind of an even coverage. Pro tip here, guys, you know you've seen this before. These are dredges. They're shakers. One of the great things is it allows me to control the spread of my spice when I'm applying it to meats. The other thing is once I put my rubs in here, I can give it a 1-2 like that, covered, and it allows me to kind of shake up my spices to distribute them, so that way the salt's not on the bottom, sugar, and the black pepper's up at top. So little pro tip there I'll share with you on that. Next thing I want to do is same thing, original seasoning on top. Followed by the 1-2 combination of the chicken and rib rub, Redneck Barbecue Lab chicken and rib rub on top of that. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to coat this meat, meaning I'm not trying to throw like a big thick layer on it. I just want to coat it where I can see the meat through it, but I don't see any meat sticking through it. A little bit on the ends. You can kind of see from the up camera, you don't see any meat, but you can kind of still see the meat through it, translucent wise. Now, next step before we throw this onto a hot smoker at 275 degrees is I want this to sit out and rest for about 30 minutes in the room temperature of your house. No bacteria is going to form on that harmful in that little bit of time that we won't take care of out there in that hot smoker when it hits it. But what it does is it allows that salt and that sugar to kind of combine with the meat and pull some of the proteins out, and it'll create this kind of sticky paste on top of it. So when you see this, right now it looks dry, but when you see it in 30 minutes before we throw it on the smoker, it kind of looks wet. That's when you want to go ahead and throw it in. That's when it's perfect, and that's the time to throw those ribs on. So let's let this sit for about 30 minutes, get that smoker going, and throw it on. All right, So it's been about 3.5 hours now. We've had these baby back ribs in that we trimmed and we seasoned. We let sit out for a little bit to kind of gum up, get sticky, you know, and we threw them into our smoker. Smoker's been running a little bit hot today, so I'm guessing that they're probably about done. We want to check on them, so let's take a look and see what we've got. First thing, always be careful when you open up these water smokers because you get this 3, 2, 1 burst of steam that comes out from that pan, and this it'll get you. It'll make your eyes water really bad. Oh yeah, these look done. And let me tell you why. If you look at these ribs, you can start to see some of the bubbling up on top. You start seeing some of this yellow stuff coming out of it. A lot of this is the collagen that was in that meat, and that's kind of indicative that the collagen has been released and the meat's tender. And it's a good indicator when you're looking at those ribs, just kind of observing without touching and trying to bend them if they're done. But really the way you do want to check these and make sure that they are done is just use a simple probe, ice pick or anything. Just go in between the bones, push in. When it goes in with no resistance like that, they're done. These are perfect. These aren't the KCBS ribs where you have to take a perfect bite or anything. These are the ones that we like to fall off the bone meat ribs. And the best thing about these and the worst thing for you guys is I can smell that these things are going to be good. I really wish you could smell them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these inside. I'm going to put some light sauce on these. I'm going to take them back to the smoker. I'm going to let that sauce set up on them, blaze up a little bit. It'll give that little sweet, tarty heat on these ribs that we like. So let's go ahead and take these ribs inside. All right, it's time to see what we've done here today, folks. So before I tuck into these baby back ribs, let's kind of go over what we did. First thing, these baby back ribs, remember they're high up on the hog, higher up on the hog. You hear that terminology sometimes, or maybe you haven't. It means the higher up, the better the quality of the meat is. These are the loin meat, just underneath the tenderloin loin area of the pig. They have a lot of flavor. There's very tender, probably the most popular rib right now in America. We took the rib, did some minimal trimming on it on top, some of the stuff that was a little bit harder, some of the fat and stuff we took off. We flipped it over, we removed that silver skin off the back. We applied our seasoning, our 2-base seasoning of the Redneck Barbecue Lab original competition seasoning, as well as the Redneck Barbecue Lab chicken and rib rub on top of it. We threw it into a smoker. It took about 3.5 hours at 275 degrees for this rack here to get tender. We pulled it off the smoker, let it cool down a little bit. It was piping hot. And then we put some sauce on it, threw it back into the smoker, let that sauce kind of caramelize on top of it, get a little bit more smoke. And this is the product that you see in front of you of what we did using this process. So now, without further delay, it's time to go ahead and tuck into these. And I'll show you a little thing is in competition, a lot of times we flip these ribs over to cut, and that's real easy because you can see the bones, but a lot of times you can't see them on top of these, and some people have problems doing it. The way that I do it is I go and I line my knife up the way I'm gonna cut it. These ribs run kind of like this, and I look and I try to find the center of the rib so I can cut through it very easily like that and not have to worry about cutting into the bone. But if you want to, the other real way, and nobody's going to say anything, is flip these over. You can kind of see where everything's at and trim them just like that and go through them. A lot of times on these baby back ribs, there's a little bit of I call a knuckle that's left over on this. And it's one of those things. And you can see this is a part when we were doing our trimming, I talked about some of the stuff that we take off. This was part of that strip that went across that just came off. It's kind of leathery, and in competition you get dinged for it, but at home you really won't. But you can see in here, you can see where we've got some of the smoke has penetrated this. It's got this flavor. We can see it's moist on the outside. This rib's not dry. If this was competition, it's probably overcooked, but at home, it's probably dead on. So let's see how we did today, folks. I apologize for doing this in front of you. That's a 2-biter there. Actually, a 3-biter. That's a good rib. The pork itself, brand we use in competition, that's a really good pork. It's very porky, tastes like pork, doesn't taste like bland, blah, anything. Tastes like pork. We've got that seasoning in there, that Redneck Barbecue Lab seasoning. I can taste it. So we've hit our marks on that. We've got that salt. We've got smoke on there. We got some sweetness from that Redneck Barbecue Lab combination of rub or seasoning sauce that we use, as well as that just basically that that overall porky flavor coming from this rib. It's a really good rib. It's one that I would tuck into at home any night of the week or on a weekend. And I can tell you right now, I'm more inclined to eat salads and Mediterranean food than I am meat, given my current profession. And boy, these are good. So anyway, I hate eating in front of you, and I hate talking my mouth full, so I apologize for that. Anyway, folks, just wanted to remind you that we're here to do these videos for you guys. This isn't for us. So please, please, please go down here, like this video, share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Click on the bell. The bell will tell you when videos like these, and we are doing a rib series, the bell will tell you when they're coming up live, when we're dropping them for you guys to see. Leave us your comments down here. Leave us suggestions. What other videos would you like to see in the future? And you can find our rib rubs, you can find our sauces at theredneckbarbecuelab.com. Find our sauce right down here. It's available in several retail places, and there are some that ship. And you guys too can enjoy playing around like I do in the backyard with my daughters and friends to make something like this. So once again, this is Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge at the Redneck Barbecue Lab, McGee's Crossroad in Benson, North Carolina. I'm here at our RBL studios. It's evolving into truly a great place to come work and share with you guys here with event webcasting ran by Mr. Mike Baker, friend of ours, bringing you guys this content. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you use it. Hopefully you find that, you know what, maybe it gets you off the microwave and outside on the grill with your family and friends or for your sweetheart. So once again, guys, please be kind to one another. Smile. We need this. Our children need this. Be kind, smile, be good, love you. See you guys down the road somewhere. Take care.